Hello students, I am Kashish and in the previous lecture we started with the first chapter of your literature that is Leaving the Valley by Malala Yousafzai. We already discussed about Malala and how this extract has been taken from her autobiography I Am Malala, and how she is an activist for the education of girls and women, and she started her activism in Swat Valley where she used to live in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa that is situated in northwest Pakistan. And when Taliban people started attacking the girls who were going to school and attacking the schools, and how the situation started getting violent day by day, and how the violence was growing in her region, and then her father took a decision to leave the valley, and how her family was forced to flee from there. So in this chapter we this will be discussing about the Malala's experience of how she and her family left the Swat Valley. And in the previous lecture we dealt with half of the story, and the story so far that we discussed is Malala was very heartbroken when they were about to leave their home, and she was not sure that when would be the next time when she will visit this place. Everyone was in distressed mood, everyone was depressed, and how they managed to escape, and then how they reached the Shangla village, their family village. And in this lecture we'll see what happens next. In order to reach to their family village Shangla, they had to drive to Abbottabad, then Besham, and then they finally they will reach Shangla. So the family spends nights sleeping in the car, sleeping outside, and sleeping in the cheap hotels, and then finally reaching to their village. But in between they were stopped by the army people, and they told us they tried to stop them, the Malala and their family and her family, and they tried to beg that let us go, and her grandmother, Malala's grandmother, actually started crying. And then army, and there was the situation was very tense. There was army all around, there were checkposts, and there was machine guns everywhere. So the situation was not good at all, and there were no people could be seen on the road. There were only army people, and there was curfew all around. People were not allowed to move on the street. So when army people stopped them, they were actually afraid, as army would not know who they were and they would shoot us. So they were actually afraid of this, when they were stopped by the army people. But fortunately the army people let them go, and they were happy to escape from there. And then after a weeks of travel, Malala and her family reaches their mother's village Karshad, where they meet or live with their uncle Muhammad and his family. Malala was very happy as she was reunited with her cousins, and then soon she started going to school with her cousin Sumbul, who was just a year older than Malala, and they started going to school together. They used to walk for half an hour to reach school, and it was again a new beginning for Malala. One day there was an event in the school. There was a Parents' Day and prize giving ceremony, and where Malala actually read a poem, where she described one line, that is, a diamond must be cut many times before it yields even a tiny jewel. And this actually, there was lots of emotion attached with this line, and she was actually trying to describe or correlate it with the situation through which they went through, and the problems they had faced right from living in the valley to leaving the valley and reaching this village. And then Malala describes that it was really being nice with her cousin, but she constantly missed her books. She constantly kept missing her school bag, and she was in the deep thought of her book, her school bags, and the copies of Oliver Twist and the Romeo Juliet that were waiting to be read, and these all things that she left behind, these things were disturbing her. She was constantly thinking about this thing, but she was telling that apart from all this drama that she used to read, or she longs to read, she says that now we are actually living in our own drama and our life has become a drama. So she compares her own life with the drama, and the situation that they are going through, she describes that as an drama. But anyways, she says that it was they had been so happy that something bad happened, but unfortunately they tried to overcome that situation and now came to their uncle's place and are now living. But soon the family, as they were living in Shangla, so soon the father was surprised to know that soon the Taliban will invade Shangla, and then father, that is Ziauddin, was now forced to take his family once again and move from Shangla. So they lived in Shangla for about 6 weeks, and then her father traveled from Peshawar and brought the news that the Taliban are likely to attack Shangla next. So they left that place once again, and then from Shangla they traveled down to Islamabad, and then they went to Haripur, and then Haripur, where one of her aunt lived. So she says that it was actually they were traveling from place to place, and within 2 months they traveled to more than 4 to 5 places. But at the same time, on the one hand she was very tired and she compared her life to a drama, and she was very heartbroken with the situation, but at the same time she was very, very happy, as she knew that so at the same time she was very happy, as she knew that she and her family, they were in a much better situation, or living a much better life than those who are living in the camps. As when they left the place, once they became IDPs, they were offered, there was an option for them to live in a camp or to go and find a better place for them. So her father decided not to live in the camp as a refugee and move to another place. So here she feels herself lucky and happy that, and she considers herself lucky, and she is happy of the fact that she is living in a much better situation than those who are living in the camp, because the people who were living in the camp, they had to suffer for food. They had to form a queue for food, and they had to wait for water for hours and hours under the hot sun, and they were in a very difficult situation, and very an situation where it was very hard to survive. So she considers herself as lucky to live a better life than those who are living in the camp. And at the same time she kept mentioning that she how much she missed her valley, and how much she want to move back to her place. Also she says that everybody was so much in a distress situation, and everyone was upset, and nobody remembered that it was actually her birthday. And she describes how her 11th birthday was different, and how earlier she used to share a cake with her friends, and there were balloons, and there were lots of wishes coming from the people and from near and dear ones. And this time she says that everyone is in a bad mood, everyone is upset, and amidst of all this thing nobody remembered her birthday. And she, even on this birthday, she made the same wish she had earlier, and this time there was no cake on her birthday, there was no candle blown out, but one thing that she wished was a peace in her valley, or the peace in the area where they were living. So Malala, in this chapter, she describes that how difficult it was for her and her family to move from a place where they were living or you can say leave the Sweat Valley region, and how they wandered from place to place to find a suitable place for them. And she also described about the situation that existed there, and how the violence was, how violent the situation was. And she also describes about the curfews and the checkpost and the sufferings of the people who were living in the camp area. In order to reach to their family village Shangla, they had to drive to Abbottabad, then Besham, and then they finally they will reach Shangla. So the family spends nights sleeping in the car, sleeping outside, and sleeping in the cheap hotels, and then finally reaching to their village. But in between they were stopped. So students, I hope the chapter is clear, the story is clear. I know this was a very sad story, but at the same time we must say that Malala is indeed a brave girl, and how we should admire how she came forward and fought for the rights, or for the rights of girls education, and how in being in a difficult situation she came ahead and fought for the rights. So I would request you to go through the in-text questions, and then try to solve the exercise or the questions that are given at the end of the chapter. And go through the chapter, read the video, go through the chapter, read the chapter once again, and listen to this clips unless and until you are satisfied and you are completely thorough with the chapter. Okay, so thanks for your attention and time. Take care.